In an ongoing effort to make my 2023 GMC Canyon the little tow pick that could, I'm finally getting around to putting my Boost Auto tow mirrors on the truck permanently. Last night I got the passenger side all mounted and pinned and wired. Now the top mirror functions, the heaters function, but I don't have the blind spot monitoring on the turn signal and all the extra features wired up just yet because I haven't run the wires to this side. This morning I got the driver's side done and kind of tore it apart because I've got a problem with these Boost Auto tow mirrors. Maybe you guys can see what I'm talking about and what my problem is with the Boost Auto mirrors. Now it's not just a problem with the Series 2 mirrors with all the lights and everything, it's actually having to do with the stock mirrors and what the Boost Auto mirrors lack. And that is the accommodation for the 360 cameras. If you have that equipped on your truck, well, up until this video, you would not have been able to install said 360 cameras into either the Series 1 or Series 2 Boost Auto tow mirrors. Turn the truck on here real quick. My wolf box there. What's that? That is my passenger side mirror. Check that out. I cut that last shot off before the music started so I don't get demonetized. But let me show you guys what I did on the other side and how you guys can do it on both sides. I was able to integrate the 360 camera to the bottom of my mirror. First things first. Initially, when I tore this mirror down to figure out a way to provide a solution for you guys to mount the cameras, I 3D scanned this, I 3D scanned the stock mirror, I got all the angles, I overlaid the scans from the stock and then the Boost Auto mirrors to the truck. You guys can see that I've got the 3D scan dots here on the mirror still. I actually gave up on trying to 3D print something because I didn't like how it turned out. It looked like a tumor on the bottom of the mirror and I just wasn't about that life and I wanted to make it look as subtle as possible. I think I've come up with a killer way to do it so that it looks almost factory. I said almost. So not only am I lazy, but I'm kind of under a time crunch. We're actually grabbing my buddy's camper tomorrow and I kind of need these on the truck installed and functioning, and I just don't have the time to do all this. So I'm going to show you guys on the passenger mirror how to pull the glass off, and that'll show you guys how to get to this piece so that we can gain access to where you're going to drill a hole for the camera. If I can do this without getting my armpit burnt, essentially we're going to push the lower glass, the bottom half of the upper glass here, and we're just going to gently pull on the top of the lower glass out. And then if you've got the heated you got the heated mirrors, this will detach, and then you guys have to get up inside of here. Hopefully I can show you guys, but there's some clips around here. You're going to use a pick tool to pull this glass off. I was wrong. The pick tool is for the stock mirror. This one here is much like the bottom glass. We're going to gently, with our thumbs here, kind of wiggle this back and forth, and you can start to feel it explode. So unclip all of your harnesses that apply, and 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and this whole bezel will pop out and will be to the point where the driver's side mirror is. Basically we're going to pull these 4 screws off and then wiggle this guy out. This little tab here is kind of wedged up inside back behind you. You can pull these 4 little screws out and pull this assembly out, but it kind of wiggles out okay-ish, and I'm just going to trim this so that I don't have to deal with moving extra pieces when we go to reinstall. So I'm just going to cut this off with my grinder really quick and be right back. While this might be hard to see right now, what I've done is I've actually found an extension cable on the internet for these cameras for the basically a coaxial wire that goes in between the plug. I had to remove the casing and the little purple clip off of the one end to push it into the plug that goes into the truck. So now that's connected to here, and all we got to do is connect the stock camera, a little pigtail on it's a couple inches long, into this, and it will still open and close once we get the camera installed. So I'll have a link to this guy below, and you guys can order the extension. You just pull the one of the ends off and then continue along with the install. Remember I said you need a pick to get the gloss off. This is what I meant. This is the stock mirror. So I've got a short for removing this glass, and this is something that's housing, so I'm not going to bore you guys with that on a long form video. So go watch that. I'll put it here in the corner and I'll link it down below as well. Let me take this apart and I'll get to the point where we need to get the camera out of here in just a second. Yes, I set that on my hood. It's my truck. If you've seen my truck, you'll know that that's probably the lightest scratch it'll ever receive. Alright, we are to the point where things start to matter for this video. This little tab right here needs to get flicked up, and the camera will come out, and then we can disconnect it. So real gently, or as non-gently as you want. Camera pops out, put my knife away. Lift up on the locking tab, press down on the clip. There we go. Now you can just throw this away if you want to. I'm just gonna set up my hood and scratch up my hood more. Hope you guys don't mind. Next one is T freaking tiny, I don't even know. T8, double stamp T8, awesome. So T8, and we'll yoink the camera out of this little housing. If you guys have any intention on putting the stock mirror back on, I would say put all this back together, or if you have any intention on maybe selling the stock mirrors, maybe to recoup some cost of the Boost Auto mirrors, that's fine. But I would put all this back together the way that you found it, so that it'll all be in one place when you go to replace it, or it'll all be together. Sans cameras, I think you can still get the little non-camera cover, or maybe the non-camera housing as well. So your mileage might vary, but I would say just put everything back together, keep it where it was, and if you want to wrap this or paint it, that's how you do that. But we're going to put this all back together and continue on with the install on the Boost Auto mirrors. This is the lower cover for the mirror, and unfortunately Boost Auto won't make a 3D printed or molded section to house the camera. I wish they would do that. Hopefully they'll do that in the future, but turns out with the way that I've got the passenger mirror, something as simple as what we're doing here might not necessitate them building a complete cover for the few that they'll actually sell for these third generation Canyons and Colorados that have the cameras. So pretty low likelihood of that ever happening, so this is what I came up with. Essentially, we need to find a spot to put a hole in here so that the camera can stick through at the angle and rotation that it needs to be able to match the front and rear cameras in the bird's eye view. So get you a set of calipers. These are just my little 12-inch ones here, and we're gonna go 1.25 inches close-ish. And we're going to mark off of this outer edge, not where I put the tape, but we're just going to make a mark just on the tape, just like this. Hopefully you guys can see that little mark that I've added. And we're going to find the spot on this line where that hole needs to go. I found that 1.25 inches is right about where it needs to go on this, given what's going on inside of the Mirrors on the passenger side, there's going to be some trimming involved. I'll show you guys here in a second where that might be, just because the way that the wire comes out of the camera kind of interferes with some of the mirror, and we need to trim a little bit away to make it fit. So on the driver's side, this wire is going to be facing the rear of the truck, but on the passenger side, this wire is going to be on the front. So what you guys are going to need to do is trim this little cavity here and this little cavity here to make sure that this camera fits in that area and has somewhere to have this wire come out without interfering with the mirror. But you can see we've got our depth here. Now we got to figure out where on this thing that hole needs to land. If you guys look on this edge here, there's some tabs that have been broken off in the molding process, and what I want you guys to do is make a mark straight down from that, just right down this little tab right there. So now we have a nice little place to drill our hole. Now you can start small and go bigger, but I found that that spot is about the best spot to fit inside the mirror and clear everything on both the passenger and driver's side. So I'll drill a hole with my step bit and try not to make it too big. Got it on the high torque setting so that it goes a lot slower, but just gently drill our hole through until we get to the right size, checking it with the camera throughout the process here. Now the camera's not going to be facing straight down, it's actually going to be sitting at a pretty significant angle, so we need to open this hole up at least another step. Because the camera needs to sit way at a really crazy angle, it's probably most likely that we're going to have to make another step hole out of this, go up one more size, but I'd rather you guys drill the hole too small and then slowly step up, or if you have like a die grinder or a little tiny rasp or a Dremel, to gently open up this hole to fit the camera at the angle that we want. So slowly drill the hole, don't just drill a massive hole like I did in the first one. Boost thought it was nice to send me a couple of these to kind of experiment with. So let's go clip this back on the mirror and let's set inside the truck and see if we can get this thing to align. And I've got a little kind of nifty tool that'll hopefully hold this camera in place while we get it where it needs to be, and then we can see if we need to make the hole bigger or not. So I'm just getting this, I've got the mirror put where it's supposed to be. I'm trying to get the camera relatively lined up on the screen there, and this should kind of hold it where it needs to while we go inside, and I can reach and touch this real gently from inside the cab here. Alright, shoe struck. As you guys can see, the camera is now connected. So all we got to do now is kind of manipulate this camera around to where it wants to fit and make sure we kind of clamp it in place. You guys can see here on the front camera setting here, it's, see the back tire, front, and 360. We want to try and match this on a flat level ground as best as possible. So I'm going to sit here and fiddle with this for the next 17 hours and get this as perfect as I possibly can. You guys can see the passenger side actually looks really good. So see the front tire, back tire real easily, but the driver's side is complete garbage. That's the SS wheel on my wife's Trailblazer. So we want to see the back tire, not the back tire of her car. Without knocking you guys over, I'm gonna try and do this. Yeah, and this is super not intuitive on which way it needs to bend and move and whatnot. So it's 110% guessing. That's pretty close though. Has to do with rotation, has to do with angle, it has to do with a whole bunch of things to get it located in space in the hole there. I'm gonna fiddle with this for a little bit and then show you guys what I accomplish. Okay, very carefully we're not going to slam the door here. We're just going to gently close it to not affect the location of this camera. And that's why we're going to silicone this in place with some black RTV silicone. I can hear the comments already. You made an entire video on some RTV sealant? Yeah, because that's the best solution that I came up with to be the easiest way for you guys to get your camera in the perfect location as possible. I tried to 3D print something. I tried to figure out how to injection mold. I tried to figure out a way of melting the little housing to get the camera just right, and drill hole and RTV1. And what's cool about this is you guys can do this on their Series 1 style mirrors as well as their Series 2. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal. You guys can't see it, but I'm looking in the camera over here and the camera's not moved yet. So I'm just going to silicone the crapola out of this without touching the camera. Now the reason I picked RTV, not only do I just have a tube laying here, but also this is really sticky, and a lot of the other silicones don't seem to work. I'm actually moving the camera around a little bit, but that's okay. And I wanted something that was going to have a little bit of give to the camera, but also be really sticky and hold this camera exactly where I needed it to be. So we're just gonna smooth this out. You can rough this ABS plastic up, but this RTV sealant will stick to darn near anything, and you won't have an issue with it. We're gonna jump back in the truck and make sure that it's where it needs to be, and then we'll close the door again very carefully, and then this will take, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours to... Yeah, sealant is fully cured in 12 to 24 hours. I checked the other one first thing this morning, overnight at 65, 70 degrees overnight, and it wasn't fully set in the middle, but the camera was exactly where it needed to be and did not move all night, with this little helping hand arm installed, keeping it located. So we'll just confirm here in a second where the camera is looking and make sure that this is exactly where it needs to be, which is kind of cool to have the silicone here. And then we'll just let this cure for the rest of the day while I pack orders in my shop in the AC with the door closed, because it's like 95 degrees outside right now.
6 hours later.
Oh yeah, my mirror's done. Alright, let's see how this thing turned out. Relatively hidden. Gently take this off of here. It's not fully set yet, but obviously I have to wait overnight for the silicone to completely cure, but for now, at least I can throw the glass back on and the internal bezel there, and I can actually drive the truck to drop off your packages. Hopefully the helping hands helped us by keeping the camera in a specific location while the silicone cured. Let's check the camera, the dash, to see if the camera moved. I guess I gotta close the door. Do it gentle. Oh yeah, that's not too bad. Look at that. Back, we can still see the back tire. Not teabag. Awesome. Well, that means I can put this all back together and drive over to the post office to drop off the orders that I worked on while this was curing. So a couple things to note on reassembly. We're going to make sure that this is trimmed and that our connector is kind of right here so that all the slip happens in the hinge side. So we'll just throw this all together now. With more people driving by. There's a lot of technology packed into this little package here. So the heated mirrors, obviously, power mirrors, lane keep, or the blind spot detection, the turn signal, the front and rear lights. I mean, there's a lot going on in here. So now we've got camera too. Make sure all the wires stay out of the way. Get our lower heated mirror in place. There we go. Now I'm just gonna put my cover back on. Make sure our Wires are routed properly. I'm not going to get pinched or nothing. We're all done. Well, short of wiring all the lights and stuff, but they're done. If you've been planning on towing with your 23 or newer GMC Canyon in Colorado, consider taking a look at these Boost Auto tow mirrors. Even though they don't have the provision for 360 cameras, well, now with a little bit of ingenuity, we have 360 cameras on tow mirrors. I believe I'm the second person to do this. The other person was on the Series 1, and he said he glued them in place, and I wanted something that was a little bit less permanent, even though drilling a hole is kind of permanent. So I just didn't want to destroy the cameras in the install or get them stuck to the panels or the mirrors at all. So if I ever wanted to put the stock ones back on the truck, well, I can still do that someday and sell these to one of you guys if I ever decide to. Probably won't. But in another video, I'll be hooking up all the lights on here. That'll be for a lighting mods video. Boost Auto already has a killer video on how to wire that all up, but I am going to touch on it in that video so that we have turn signals, turn signals, turn signals, turn signals, and turn signals. So if I get in an accident and somebody said, well, I didn't see your signal, they're lying, because I'm going to have 5 signals on each side of the truck lit up, letting you guys know that I'm turning left or right. So that'd be pretty sick. That's another video coming soon. I'll leave that in a card at the end of this video. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to comment below and ask them, and I'll be happy to reply. And as always, if you have another product idea or video idea, why don't you let me know, and I'll make a product or video just for you. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.